Number 1. The Library of Ashurbanipal. Around the 7th century BC, the world's oldest known library was established for Ashurbanipal, the Assyrian king, as a place for royal contemplation. The site, which was in Nineveh in present-day Iraq, contained a treasure trove of about 30,000 cuneiform tablets arranged thematically. Its titles were mostly scholarly texts, religious incantations, and archival documents, but it also contained a number of literary works, including the 4,000-year-old Epic of Gilgamesh. The book-loving Ashurbanipal compiled much of his library by looting works from Babylonia and the other territories he conquered. Archaeologists later stumbled upon its ruins in the mid-19th century, and the majority of its contents are now kept in the British Museum in London. Interestingly, even though Ashurbanipal acquired many of his tablets through plunder, he seems to have been particularly worried about theft. An inscription in one of the texts warns that if anyone steals its tablets, the gods will cast him down and erase his name, his seed, in the land. Number 2. The Library of Alexandria. After Alexander the Great died in 323 BC, his erstwhile general Ptolemy I took charge of Egypt and endeavored to establish an educational hub in Alexandria. The outcome was the Library of Alexandria, which later rose to prominence as the world's preeminent intellectual gem. The site's exact layout is unknown, but at its height, it might have contained over 500,000 papyrus scrolls with literary works and teachings on science, history, law, and mathematics. Scholars from all around the Mediterranean were drawn to the library and its affiliated research institute. Many of them resided on campus and received government stipends while they studied and replicated its contents. At different times, the likes of Strabo, Euclid, and Archimedes were among the academics on site. The Great Library is thought to have burned down in 48 BC after Julius Caesar unintentionally set fire to Alexandria's harbour in a conflict with Ptolemy XIII, the Egyptian ruler. Although the library may have suffered damage from the fire, the majority of historians now think that it survived for several more centuries in some capacity. While some academics contend that it ended in 270 AD during Aurelian's reign as Roman emperor, others think it happened even later in the 4th century. Number 3. The Library of Pergamum. The Attalid dynasty built the Library of Pergamum in the 3rd century BC in what is now Turkey. It was once home to a vast collection of about 200,000 scrolls. Housed in a complex of temples dedicated to the Greek goddess of wisdom, Athena, it is thought to have consisted of 4 rooms, one for banquets and academic conferences, and the other 3 housing the library's holdings. According to the ancient chronicler Pliny the Elder, the Library of Pergamum eventually became so famous that it was considered to be in keen competition with the Library of Alexandria. Both sites sought to amass the most complete collections of texts, and they developed rival schools of thought and criticism. There is even a legend that Egypt's Ptolemaic dynasty halted shipments of papyrus to Pergamum in the hope of slowing its growth. As a result, the city may have later become a leading production center for parchment paper. Number 4. The Villa of the Papyri. While it wasn't the largest library of antiquity, the so-called Villa of the Papyri is the only one whose collection has survived to the present day. Its roughly 1,800 scrolls were located in the Roman city of Herculaneum, in a villa that was most likely built by Julius Caesar's father-in-law, Lucius Calpurnius Piso Caesoninus. The library was completely submerged under a 90-foot layer of volcanic material when the neighboring Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, leaving it remarkably preserved. Its carbonized, blackened scrolls were not found again until the 18th century, and since then, scientists have attempted to decipher them using a variety of techniques, including X-rays and multispectral imaging. Though much of the catalogue remains untranslated, research has already shown that the library has multiple works by Philodemus, an Epicurean poet and philosopher. Number 5. The Imperial Library of Constantinople. At Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, classical Greek and Roman thought flourished long after the decline of the Western Roman Empire. Under Constantine the Great, the city's imperial library was established in the 4th century AD, but it remained modest until the 5th century, when its collection of scrolls and codices increased to an astounding 120,000. Due to neglect and frequent fires, the imperial library's size fluctuated over the ensuing centuries. In 1204, a Crusader army sacked Constantinople, which dealt the library a devastating blow. Nevertheless, its scribes and scholars are now credited with preserving countless pieces of ancient Greek and Roman literature by making parchment copies of deteriorating papyrus scrolls. Number 6. The Library of Celsus. There were over 24 major libraries in the city of Rome during the Imperial era, but the capital wasn't the only place that housed dazzling collections of literature. Sometime around 120 AD, the son of the Roman consul Tiberius Julius Celsus Polemianus completed a memorial library to his father in the city of Ephesus. The building's elaborate facade, which is still intact today, has 4 statues that stand in for knowledge, virtue, intelligence, and wisdom, in addition to a marble stairway and columns. On the inside, however, were a rectangular room and several tiny alcoves that held bookcases. Approximately 12,000 scrolls were stored in the library, but the most remarkable aspect was undoubtedly Celsus, who was interred there in an ostentatious sarcophagus.